Hello everyone, a very warm welcome to the day 5 of AWS Gujarat Students Builder Week 2026. I hope you have been enjoying the sessions over the past few days and learning something new every day. We have covered cloud fundamentals, compute services, serverless computing, networking, and much more. So today we are dividing into another essential pillar of cloud architecture, which is AWS databases and storage. So I am Tejasvi Sekhat, AWS Student Builder Group Leader at Darshan University and one of the organizers of this community-led initiative. On behalf of all the AWS Student Builder groups and AWS user groups across Gujarat, I am delighted to welcome each one of you. Thank you for joining us this evening. Whether you are attending live for the first time or have been with us since day one, we are happy to have you as part of this amazing learning journey. So before we begin, here are some few quick reminders. Please stay till the end of today's session to complete your attendance. Feel free to ask your question in the live chat, and we will have a dedicated Q&A session after each speaker. And if you are enjoying, don't forget to share your learnings on AWS Builder Center and social media by tagging our community. So let's take a quick look at our today's agenda. So our first session will be on Amazon RDS and Amazon DynamoDB. We will explore both relational and NoSQL databases on AWS, understand their use cases, and learn when to choose the right database for your application. Following that, we will move on to another session where we will discover AWS storage services, best practices, and how organizers securely store and manage data. So now it's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker, Nirmal sir. We will be taking our today's first session on Amazon RDS and Amazon DynamoDB. We are truly grateful to have you with us, sir. So everyone, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Nirmal, sir. Over to you, sir.
Hello everyone. So today we will be talking about like Amazon RDS and DynamoDB, right? So before that, I'll like to talk about myself. So I'm a Nirmal Chhodyadiya, currently working as a senior data engineer at Credibly. Previously, also I have worked at AWS India in the big data team, like more than 3.5 years, you can say. Along with that, I'm currently leading the AWS user group Surat with Dhaval Nagar and our core team. I'm a 2020 pass out student, so I can relate with you, all of you as well. So I have like kind of like 6+ years of experience, and I'm a 3x AWS certified as well. Okay. So we'll also look at like what we'll be covering today, right? So this is the agenda. Like, why do we need databases in the cloud? What is the managed database service, right? We'll be talking about both like SQL, NoSQL options like Amazon RDS, which is basically like relational database service, you can say, that comes with more than like around 6+ or like 6 engines flavors within that. And we'll also look at DynamoDB, and we'll also try to compare like when to use which service and some of the project ideas that you can build and like you can showcase in your portfolio or in the resume, and some of the free tire tips and also question answers as well. So let's begin, right? So this is like kind of topic that is interesting because a database or RDBMS, you can say, right? You can say, right, like relational database management service. This is also part of your education agenda, right? Probably you will be learning this across different semesters, I would say. So the way to look at these services is basically how nowadays people are utilizing those services. So it's a very practical way to compare what you have already learned and see how industry is using and how AWS or any other cloud provider is providing these kind of service offerings, right? So if I talk about little bit before the cloud, right? So what is a traditional way? You might have already learned by now that okay, what is cloud computing? How people used to, like provide the or like buy the physical servers, or if they have to deploy and run their applications or web apps, right? They have to install the like related databases packages like MySQL, PostgreSQL. The problem with that is physical servers and those kind of things is you have to maintain so many things. You have to maintain like patches, you have to check for the versions, you also have to handle backups and recoveries and all of that stuff. So, and as in when like if you are a startup or if you are mid to like large enterprise kind of like customer, right? You might have to increase your capacity and decrease your capacity, and that's a very big headache, you can say, for the traditional way if you are utilizing like physical servers. So this is what the kind of problems, you can say, like expensive upfront hardware cost, right? So if you purchase hardware and eventually if you don't need it, it's a waste of investment as well, right? It's very difficult to scale up or scale down as well, because you are talking about physical capacity, right? And your full-time job is to just keep the database running, right? You're not focusing on your actual development or your use cases or businesses, but you are also doing this kind of admin work or like managing and those kind of things, right? So, and apart from that, it's also a single server, right? It can be a single point of failure as well. So this is all the problems in which cloud is helping you to, provide kind of services that you can say like cloud database is all kind of all of this. You can say it's renting the capacity, and AWS handles the hard part of. And you might have, by this time you have already learned about this availability zones and regions and all of these things, right? um, Apart from that, I just want to give one quick like relatable example. Cloud example is basically like cloud is basically, you can say it's similar to your electricity, right? So as in when you need electricity, you don't set up the power plant or infra for that, right? So you use for the consume capacity, you pay for, like you can say, 2 months of electricity bills. So it is very relatable concept with cloud as well. You pay per whatever you use based on different offerings and timing. So that is just, I want to clear that out. Okay, enough talking around like traditional ways, right? So now let's look at like what is managed database service, or what is managed as in word itself. So in AWS you will hear every now and then there is managed service for like managed serverless service or managed database services, right? Or managed compute services. So what is exactly manage is, like manage as in keyword. So you can say you focus on your app and AWS focus on the database behind the infra part. So manage is basically a responsibility, you can say. There are certain things you handle as in customer of the cloud provider, and as in there are certain responsibility that AWS takes care of it, right? So that is what it is, the manage part. So if you talk about the managed database service, like what kind of responsibilities that AWS handles for you, right? So all the infrastructure, you can say, across the globe, like hardware provisioning and maintenance part, software installation and version patching, right? You can say automated backup, all of that infra part, high upfront investment, all of that, that is handled by the AWS itself. uh, Whereas what you can control as an user of the cloud services, specifically for the managed data service, you can say you handle your data, you handle your schema. For some of the provision instances, you can say it's similar to the EC2 instances. Like you select the size and family of the like instance specifically, and then as and when based on that, it will allow you to have certain like memories and compute power, and similar to the EC2 instance. And just a side note, everything on AWS is basically wrappers around the EC2, like in most of the services. So if you are cloning or if you are provisioning like RDS cluster or RDS instance as well, right? In the backend, AWS, what it is doing is basically spinning up the EC2 instance itself with the certain packages installed. So you might see certain people, use that EC2, and on top of that, it install the MySQL as well. So that is also another way to look at that thing. Like you can use the EC2, you can install the MySQL package, but there are dedicated services as well, similar to like RDS, that you don't have to take care of, like managing patching of those versions as in when the database engine versions upgrade, security patches and all. So it's, again, I just wanted to give you a very simple relatable example. Like let's say if you want to eat something, right? There are restaurants out there. You can go there, you can purchase order, or you can uh, like eat over there itself. Nowadays you have the options like Swiggy, Zomato, right? You can pay for additional cost, and you get the comfort at your home, you get the food delivered at your home, right? So that is what people pay for the RDS, even though there is option of like EC2. On top of that, they can install that MySQL or any server that it is required. So yep. Like analogy is basically renting a fully furnished apartment versus buying a land and building the house, right? Okay, so if we talk about RDS, right, it's a managed relational database service. you can say SQL databases that run by AWS, so you don't have to. In this section, we're specifically looking at like what is RDS. We'll also look at the like what is the dashboard look like for the RDS and for the DynamoDB as well. Why RDS has been built from the AWS side, because you might heard that from the AWS side that it's not they just want to provide any services. They are very customer obsessed. So let's say there are enough people or the customers are saying okay they need certain use cases or they face certain options or face certain issues, they provide this kind of feedback to the AWS product team, take the feedback and also look at that how they can provide the services or the solution on top of it. So kind of story we will look at that why RDS have been built and why DynamoDB has been created for the customers, how it's architected around like multi-AZ read replicas. There are some of the key features also, and we'll also look at like pricing model and kind of free tier as well. So yep, now let's look at the like what is exactly Amazon RDS, right? So we talked about many things like traditional and then RDS and cloud computing and all. So Amazon RDS is basically fully managed service. You can run your SQL databases in the cloud. So I can say within SQL or like within the SQL databases, there are many SQL databases available out there. So if you, I will showcase in the console or in the demo as well. So if you go to the RDS console and if you click on create, you will see there are 6 different type of engines. You can create the instances for them. For example, Amazon Aurora is there, MySQL is there that you might be aware of it. There is Microsoft SQL Server as well for the .NET and the enterprise apps. You might be learning about that in your semesters as well, I would say. And there is a Oracle and like MariaDB. Uh, Based on my experience, I've just interacted with like few of the engines in reality. um, Probably other people might be using it, but I don't have experience with other engines apart from like you can say Aurora, MySQL, PostgreSQL, and Microsoft SQL Server, right? So MariaDB I haven't worked with it, and I don't have a like I don't know, there are people might be using it, that's why it's there. But yeah, so these are like offerings, you can say. RDS handles like servers, storage, backups, patching, and updates. So you can choose the engine and you can read about that in detail as well. So let's look at like why did AWS build the RDS, right? So as in when every customer or developer, right, you can say web app needed a database, right? And almost everyone was doing the same painful set of work like launching the EC2 server, installing MySQL. So this is we are talking about before the RDS was launched, the way people are using it, even though they are using the cloud, but with the like you can say EC2 servers on top of MySQL install on it, right? What's the problem on that is like you had the like configuring automated backups. What you have to do, you have to set up the standby replicas for the failovers. So even though like cloud is safe, or you can say it's a multi AZ or multi region multi AZ deployments are there for the production workloads, right? But every now and then you might see that AWS might be having outages in the other regions. So imagine like if you're running like let's say a live applications or production applications, and you can't afford to have the downtime on your applications, right? And if your applications is making millions of transactions or millions of concurrent like any sort of updates, right? You might lose major chunk of your profit or major chunk of your credibility as well. So this kind of things people had to do it before the RDS launch. So these are kind of problem that they want to solve. So this is boring, you can say, like you might see that, right? And every now and then these are like some of the open source like engines, right? Like MySQLs, PostgreSQLs, and all of that. So every now and then they might have the newer updates with the newer versions. So you have to updates on your related server. So if you are using EC2, you are responsible for updating that versions. You are responsible for updating for the patches and all that stuff. So this is the kind of problem that AWS wants to solve, even though it was providing EC2, right? So that's why they launched the RDS in the 2009, you can say. So you just tell the AWS that okay, I just need database, and I need to have that is production level database, and within just 10 minutes, okay, and I don't want to touch the server again. And there are options that RDS takes care of this, all of this kind of issues, like updating the versions, or you can say the updating the patches and security versions and all of that. So after launching this RDS part, right, there are many customers you might see. This is like one of the common foundational service along with the other services, you can say, that you might see or came across multiple times in the real world or the production applications. So by then, like many people are already using it, like millions of customers and millions of EC2 instances or like RDS instances, you can say, behind the scenes. Okay, so now look at like how RDS have been built, right? So how it is actually being built. So you might have the picture like, okay, there is a region. Within the region, 2 to 3 availability zones would be there. There on top of that, there would be physical servers, and then they have use the hyperscalers, divide the virtual instances, and on top of that, this DB instance would be created, right? So there are certain vocabulary, like words that you need to be aware of it if you want to understand these things. Like there are this is called like DB instance. So DB instance is basically like database instance, you can say. So it's an actual database server, right? There are many different size options similar to the EC2, like db3 t3 dot micro. These are all I have put that like some of them are available in the free tab, so that like later if you want to create the this kind of clusters for your own projects, you can use that without having to bear any cost, right? Similarly, like there are similar to the EC2 itself, this have like different flavors. For example, storage, and there are like IO optimized. So what happens within that, like if you are using storage or like storage optimized instances, they will be backed by the SSD, right, and separate from the compute, you can say. So there are different types of storage based instances also available if your applications is storage heavy, right? Similarly, there are other word that you need to be aware is like basically is multi-AZ deployment. So AZ is basically availability zone, right? So multi-AZ is basically multiple AZs you are putting your deployment within the RTS. So what will happen is there is a standby replica in the second AZ will be available if you are going with that option. I can show you that in the console itself. So you can imagine, right, if the bigger enterprises or the startups, if they have the if they see the issue from the AWS side, from their regions, even though you can blame the AWS, right, that okay, like AWS region is down, but you can't let that impact on your customers, right, whatever you are providing in terms of services or the products. So the way people use that is they use it as in multi-AZ deployment, right? So multi-AZ is basically you can say like within the AZ itself there are 2 3 data centers, right, and within the region also there are multiple AZs. So multi-AZ itself is there are very distant located availability zones, different power supply, different capacities the AWS have built, so that even though if it is impacting any specific region or specific AZ specifically, you don't like get affected by the other AZ if it is like not working properly or it is having or facing any certain issues on that. So that is what the multi-AZ deployment. So if you are appearing for the AWS certifications, right, this kind of things would be there. Like let's say if you want to build the multi-AZ deployment with the RTS, how you can do that, what is the purpose of that, what is the use case of that. So be mindful and be like ready for that. Like read about the multi-AZ deployment, it's important stuff. Apart from that, there is a read replicas is also there, like asynchronous copies for like read heavy workloads, right? So that it can be also deployed in the different regions. So read replica is basically what you can say is, let's say you are putting the data to your RDS cluster, right, or RDS instance, you can say, and there are certain like reports that you are running on that RDS cluster itself or RDS instance itself. So you don't want to let that reading capacity or whatever the queries or APIs hitting to your instance, basically, which is writer instance, right? You don't want to affect that. So that's why people create the read replicas as well, so that you don't like, it's a separating out like all the reading related stuff, like if it is, whether it's API or any tool that can read from this read replicas, and you don't affect the production writer instances. Okay. Apart from that, there are automated backups, like you can take the daily snapshots, and people are also doing that, uh, because let's say for some reason if something is down, or if they have to recreate this RDS instance, if they have the daily snapshots and the transactions logs, you won't miss your like data itself. Okay. Apart from that, this is again VPC uh, enabled service, you can say. So your DB lives in your private network. That is basically virtual private cloud, right? Apart from that, if I briefly talk about this backup and recovery, right? So it's these kind of options are there. You can say just read it. I don't think you need this kind of detailed level of understanding. You just need to know that okay, if you have the SQL or like SQL databases use cases for your projects purposes or for any use case, there is an option with the RDS. These are some of the key features, you can say: backup and recovery, like highly availability and scaling. uh, Also, security is very important part. So AWS provide in most of the services similar to this kind of encryption, like encryption at rest and encryption in the transit, right? So that is there. Apart from that, you can also manage this RDS instances through the IAM database authentication. Also, there is an option to create like master username and password for that, so you can handle like creating the passwords and authentication by yourself as well. Apart from that, in terms of monitoring, like performance insights is there. So I'll tell you the real use case as well. So what we were doing, like basically, is we were looking at the queries, uh, like at our RDS cluster. So what was happening is our cluster is very big size. You can say a very large cluster. It's a production cluster, like 3x large, or like those kind of bigger instances. We were using that in the production, and the issue was, even though we have increased the like capacity, right, we were seeing the latency in our reports, or latency in the like writing our data to the cluster itself, or the instances, you can say. So that is where the performance insights helps for the RDS instance. So that kind of very detailed part, you can say, in the performance insight, that you can look at the user, you can look at what is the query that has been run against this cluster itself, and there is many details over there in the performance insights, so that you can troubleshoot those kind of issues as well. Apart from that, there are some of the other monitoring options available, like CloudWatch metrics are there. Probably it's available for many other services as well, but they are specific to like RDS as well. Apart from that, there is like enhanced monitoring options and all. Okay, so this is what all about the RDS. The last piece of it is basically how AWS will charge you, right? Let's say if you want to use RDS, how much it will cost you. So that is also important, because I'll tell you honestly, even though you know many services in the AWS, the pricing is very important, because ultimately people have to pay, right? So even if there are fancy services available, but if you cannot afford that pricing for that particular services, you can't use that in the production. So yeah, that is just a side tip. So these are like four components, you can say, like basically RDS will charge you on top of it. So component, you can say, one of them is like compute itself, right? So as I told you, like RDS is nothing but like behind the scenes is a EC2 itself. So based on the family of that instances, you will get charged. For the free tier eligible, you can say T3 dot micro and T3 dot small is there, that you might want to explore it out. Apart from that, there are additional like storage costs is there. If you are taking the snapshots, that will also additionally cost you, and there are backup storage, and the data transfer cost is also there. So data transfer is very interesting thing here, and very important to understand, because let's say you are putting all the data in your cluster, right, in the cloud, you can say. So in the cloud, whatever the data you send, that is free, inbound is free, but Outbound is very, I mean, not very, but outbound is like in which AWS will charge you. So for first 100 GB per month, it's free. After that, it's a 0.09 per GB. So even though it's less costlier, you can say, but you have to be mindful about, okay, it's not that data transfer is free. Like whenever you are putting the data into the cloud, it's a free, but when you are taking the data from the cloud, that is where like you have to pay for that, right? Similar to EC2, you can say there are available options, like you can say reserved instances, so in which you can make the commitment, like it's kind of bond. You can say you are signing with the AWS that you will use certain capacity. You are booking the capacity for that particular RDS instances, and then you can get the discounts like 70 to like 29%, right? Apart from that, similar to the EC2 in the free tier, like I mean, this is like old information, I would say, because like recent changes with the free tier, like you get the $100 credits in the first 3 months or 6 months, I guess, and then after that also you get another $100 credit. Okay, so let's look at the like console, and let's see this, like what does RDS look like, right? Let me share my another screen. Are you able to see my screen? Can someone quickly confirm? Okay, thank you. Yeah. Okay, so this is what your console look like. You might be familiar with this by now. So what you do, you just search for the like RDS. We'll wait for some time. Okay, so this is what like RDS console look like, right? So there are options like databases, query editor, performance insights, snapshots, all of these things we have talked about, right? So let's look at the like databases, and let's create the instance one. Okay, so within these like create databases, there are multiple options like express configuration, full configuration. So I just want to show you the options first. So this is what I was talking about, right? Like 6 or 8 like different engines are available within the RDS itself. Like AWS has, you can say, another relational database service is called like Aurora MySQL and Aurora PostgreSQL. That also you can create this like kind of engine versions that you can create. Apart from that, like MySQL is there, MariaDB is also there, Microsoft SQL servers is also there. And I'm from Surat, right? You might heard about like there is so much of rain on like last 2 days, so I'm facing some internet issues. Okay, yeah, this is what I want to showcase. Like there are options like PostgreSQLs and things like that. Let's keep reloading. I don't know. So these are like two main methods available, like full configuration and like easy create. So I'll walk you through like both of the options. So these are like templates, right? So make sure like when you are testing with the services, you should use this option like dev or test. Production will cost you more. So this is what like availability and durability in nutshell. So if you use single AZDB instance deployment, so it will only launch one instance. That is, you can say a primary instance in your AZ1. If you go with, let's say, if you choose this production, bad internet, yep. Or you can say, see, like if you choose multi-AZ DB instance deployment, so what it will do, it will create instances in different regions, you can say, like different AZs, like one within the one AZ and another standby instance in the secondary AZ. And this is like automatic. Okay, so let's say if for some reason one AZ goes down, this standby easy, you don't need to update anything. It will automatically do the failover and all the traffics will get loaded to there. Okay. Similarly, there is multi-AZ DB cluster deployment is there. You can say like it uses three AZs, create two read by additional standbys with the SSD enabled. For the test purpose, we don't need this kind of things. We will just choose dev and test. We'll go with single AZ instance deployment. Okay. Since we have choose MySQL, it will come from like MySQL community. If you choose any other engine, it will showcase similar edition for that. This is important. You can see there are multiple versions are out there, so you can pick any version. This is what the name of the identifier. Then this is also important. This is like master username, that is like you have to provide when you are connecting with the RTS instance outside of network or within the network. So these are like credentials management in production. To be honest, this is not how like clusters or like instance would be created. It's definitely created through like cloud formations or the Terraform. But if you're exploring these things, it's okay to try with the console itself. But as in when you feel confident, okay, this is what like this is how you can create the instances, you can play around it. And then whenever you are making the project, make sure you create the instances and all of your resources through the cloud formation or the Terraform to having as in like good project itself. And the one another idea I would say, like if your project is just basic thing, but if you have followed the best practices, you can say, in terms of infrastructure or instance of like API part and everything, if you're making the project very close to the production systems, uh, there are very good way to showcase your skills as well, right? So credentials management in production, you can say it handles to secret manager. That's another service from the AWS. I mean, you can use that for the managing your credentials. You put your username and your JSON, like username, password, endpoint details, and port, and all sort of details. So here we'll choose as in like self manage. So within the self manage, similar to the other social media profiles, you create your password. You can say, let me put that. Okay, so there are some password deleted policies also there. So you can't have like at the rate and special character. So make sure you're not putting it there in the password. Make sure you keep these details with you, whatever the password and this username, right? So this will required when you are making the connection. So admin, and this is what it is. Let me take a note of it as well. Additional details, like as I told you, there are other ways to also handle this kind of things, like credential part. You can also use password and the IAM database authentication, right? For the instance configuration part, this is important. As I told you, there are different classes, or the families, you can say, similar to the EC2. There are standard classes, there are memory optimized classes, there are bustable classes. So make sure whenever you are playing with the AWS, right, in your free tier account, you use this kind of T or like bustable classes, so that you can explore many services and implement your use cases and the projects. So currently I'm going with T3.micro. There are different types of storage available, like general purpose SSD and provision IOPS SSD. So if you are playing around with, your use cases around like high IOPS, you might want to go with that different storage type, which is IOPS heavy, right? Allocated storage you can mention as in 200. Additional storage also you can manage, like enable storage auto scaling. So what it will does, even though you have provided whatever number, it will auto scale as in when it's needed. In this case we don't need it, but in production system you might want to go for that. uh, Here, this is the connectivity part, this is important. So let's say you are for the testing part, right, when you're playing around, this is this doesn't matter that much. But in the production and all, you can't make it your instances as in public, right? You can't open your instances to have that traffic from outside. So there are ways to do that, like you can launch your RDS instances in the private subnet. And if you want to connect with the instances, you use like a bastion host, right? And there is directly option available that connect to an EC2 compute resource. So that basically on behalf of you, it will also launch one like bastion instance. Bastion instance is nothing like, you can say it's within the VPC. There is something like kind of EC2 instance that goes to public, like public subnet. And within the VPC, you might already know that, right? Like instances or the resources can talk to each other. So you use EC2 instance to connect to your RTS instance. With this, we don't want to go with this. Like we'll go with like don't connect to EC2 instance. For the network type, there are multiple options available. We'll go with the default. We'll also go with the default VPC itself. You might already have the sessions around VPC, right? So you know that what is public subnet, what is private subnet, what is internet gateway, what is NAT. This is all important, as in foundational part, you can say. Subnet group is also important. Like currently we are going all of these things with the default, but for like different use cases, you might want to create the subnet groups that you can create through here. So for the security group, we'll also choose existing one. We'll use every default option itself. There is another RDS proxy is also available. There are certificates like certificate authority. This is important when you are creating the like EC2 instance or RDS instance. Make sure you have to allow like respective EC2 instances or like RDS instances port. You have to open it to the like relevant parties so that it can connect with that. So for MySQL, it's basically fix 3306. For the insights part, we don't need advanced database instance, so we'll be going with the standard. We also don't need the enhanced monitoring. We'll be going with default. We can also provide the initial database name like test. We don't need encryption. We don't need backup. We don't need version upgrade, right? So see, this is what I was talking about for the maintenance part. So if you have selected this one, it will automatically enable like minor version upgrade, as in when depending on the engines, like new versions will be out, it will be update that. For the maintenance window is also important. Maintenance is basically, let's say if you want to update certain things within the cluster, so when specifically it can do that, like from the RDS side, right? So you choose the time in which you don't have any customers active and playing with your web services or like kind of your applications. So we'll be going with no preferences. uh, this is what it is, and then we will create the database. So we have to wait for some time. It will take some time to create the database. So you can say this is the like status. It's in still in the creating status, so it will take some time. You can look at the details once you click on it. So this is important, like endpoints, right? Once it is creating, like once it got created, you will able to have the details on the endpoint and the port part that you can use another you can say MySQL workbench and sort of applications. That way you can create and connect with like you can make the connections for your databases through the this kind of application. So this is what I have installed, like MySQL workbench. You just like if you want to connect RDS right outside of VPC, you can use this kind of tools. Like you can also, like if you have the options to connect with the EC2 itself through the RDS, then you can also run the commands to create the like databases, tables and all. But if you prefer GUI based, right, you can go with this like MySQL workbench. It's a software that is available. What you do, you click on database, you click on connect to database, and these are some of the details that you provide, and it will authenticate and validate with your RDS, and then you can connect with that. So while it's creating, we can go back to our PPT and talk about some other stuff, and I'll show this thing later. Okay, let me stop my screen share. Okay, so this is what we have done, right? Like we have opened the console, we have created the databases. We'll look at how we can connect to the workbench, right? And we'll try to run some of the queries as well. All right, let's go to the next. Okay, so now let's talk about the second part of it, right? So far we have talked about it is basically SQL databases. Okay, SQL databases, you can say a relational databases. For example, let's say if you have the use case around you want to create like applications in which you might need to run the queries related to like joins, group by, right? So as in when like whenever you have those kind of use cases, you want to use the RDS base or like SQL databases. But there is another flavor, you can say, or no SQL database is available, majorly DynamoDB, another foundational service, you can say. It's a serverless NoSQL database. So serverless is basically, I don't know, you might be aware of it or not. It's again managed service, you can say that. It's not that like you don't have to manage anything for the DynamoDB side. The reason it says like as in serverless is basically AWS takes care of like configuration and behind the scenes like provision part. You just play with your applications or databases and directly tables, you can say, in the DynamoDB side. uh, you don't have to manage anything apart from your tables, databases and primary index and secondary indexes, right? So in this, we'll look at like how DynamoDB is working, how it has been created, what is the story behind that, why AWS has provided this. Uh, even though there is a RDS option is already there, right? There are other important features are there, but not relevant for you, I would say, like point in time recovery, you can say PITR, global tables, DynamoDB accelerators, streams. Pricing is also, you can say there are two options like on demand and provision, right? We'll also look at the demo for this one as well. So little bit about DynamoDB is it's a fully managed serverless NoSQL database, right? So NoSQL, you can, as per the name says, right, NoSQL is basically you can't directly run the SQL queries. And if even if you run the, let's say if you have to run the full load or full scan, it will take so much of time and it's not query optimized for that purpose. So NoSQL means is like no fixed table schema, right? So one of the important part is, let's say if you have to create the tables in RDS or SQL databases, right? You have to define the schema first. You have to define the each data type and your column names and everything, right? Whereas in the NoSQL side, you have the free hand. You don't have to fix your schema. NoSQL tables can accept any form of output, I mean input, you can say, without constraining any schema. I'll showcase in the like demo as well. So data store as in items, you can say it's basically JSON documents, key value pair type of data, you can say. And for the field names also, you don't need to like strictly follow that name itself. You can define any scheme, I mean you can define any new columns in particular row itself, or I mean data itself, you can say. This is specifically designed for the massive scale, right? uh, we'll look at the comparison later, but the thing is, let's say if you have the millions of customers and doing so many things, or you are having millions of transactions, right? RDS cannot scale even with the bigger capacity. So that is where like Amazon has find out, okay, we have to create something, or we have to provide services in a way that it can handle and scale for the millions of requests. Serverless means is basically no servers to pick or manage, right? You don't it's not your responsibility basically. It automatically scale up, scale down with your traffic. You pay only for what you use. Again, no patching, no failover config, no versions, nothing like that, right? DynamoDB is straightforward. You create the database, you create the tables, and you provide the data. That's it. It is used by many of the things like Amazon, Netflix, Snap. Many people are using combination of it, or specifically DynamoDB for their certain use cases. So let's say now we understand by far that why Amazon has created RDS even though there was an EC2, right? Now we'll look at why DynamoDB has been created even though there is a RDS available, right? So you can say like during the 2004 holiday season, Amazon like got popular. I think it got created in 1999 to then it got popular from just uh, like you can say within 2004, like they hit the massive scale, right? So the traditional relational databases servers have been crashed, and their orders have been also failed, right? So many of people like has lost their money as well. So engineers realize that okay, there is something we have to do with the RDS, or we have to provide something or some technologies or services that can scale this much, right? So uh, they don't need to have like requirement of performing SQL joins or complex queries, right? What they need the massive horizontal scale, right? Millions of requests per second it should be able to handle. Also latency is very low. It's single digit milliseconds, you can say. And it's always availability like multi data center, so that's why the DynamoDB has been created, right? So how they have launched is basically in 2007 they came up with the paper, like DynamoDB research paper regarding the key value store. They want to create something, right? So traditional databases and all there, DynamoDB is something you can say Amazon has created for themselves, and then later it been provided as in service for other customers to use, right? So after like you can say after 5 years, like in 2012, it has been launched as in service, so every developer can use that. So we are also coming to the end as well. So we'll be going a little bit faster. Uh, okay. So in terms of architecture, you can say there are two three things which are important. Like you can create the table, you can treat that as in container, right? It's similar to the SQL table but the schema less, right? Then you have the item. Item is basically similar to the one row, you can say, in the like comparison with the RDS data. Then you have the primary key, right? So in the primary key you have the two options available, like partition key. For example, if you are talking about user based data, it's a user ID. Then you can also have the combination of both, like partition key plus sort key, right? So then you also have the partitions as well. So in the DynamoDB, it auto split the data across many partitions, so that like since it's a NoSQL, right, and the data is scattered across many different partitions. So whenever you are running certain queries or you want to get that data, DynamoDB has data stored like across the like partitions. So that's why it scale and it provides the low latency as well. Some of the important stuff you might want to read about that later, but it's not that much needed, I would say, honestly. Multi-AZ is also by default, like every write is synchronously replicated 3 AZs. You don't need to do any other config, right? So that is what about the DynamoDB architecture part. Some of the key features, you can say capacity and performance. Like there are three availability options, like available offerings from them, like on-demand mode. There is a provision mode. There is a DynamoDB accelerator as well. Uh, there are certain features around data protections and like advanced features that you don't need to learn it right now at the moment, but you just need to aware of it. Okay, there is something called as DynamoDB stream is there, and there are global tables and transactions are available. So this is what it charges you basically on demand, on provision basis. Provision basis, you declare the like write capacity and the read capacity, and as and when depending on that capacity you pre-declare, it will use and cost you on top of it. All right, I'll also showcase the DynamoDB console and the service as well. Okay, so now you can see this RDS cluster we have created that is available. Let me grab that endpoints quickly. So this is what the endpoint is, right? You create the connect to the database. You provide the host name. 1 second. Port is 3306. Username is, you can say, that we have created during the cluster or instance we have provided. Here we will provide the password. Default schema, you can say test. I think we have to open the port for 3306 for outside of internet in the security group of RDS. But I just wanted to show you like how you can connect with the RDS, and this will open one editor sort of thing. Here you can see admin this failed because I think it's not having the permission, and we also have to open the like security group as well. But I just want to quickly showcase like what we can do after that. uh, like once it got connected, you can directly run your SQL query similar to like other SQL, like create database, provide your database name and create the tables and stuff like that. I'll quickly showcase DynamoDB as well. So this is what like DynamoDB console you can say. So here directly you can see here, right? Like no instances, nothing you have to like create or pre-provision first. Just click on create table, and that is how you can provide the table name. This is test. Partition key you can say as in uh, like student ID. Sort key is optional. These are like on demand default settings, and you can also do the like there are other options available based on that, like similar to S3. You might want to like you might uh, like listen, or like you might understand about that later in this like in the next sessions, I would say. uh, okay, so this is what it is. We'll be going with the default settings. Will be click on create table, like quickly one table get created, and then once the status is available, we'll be able to directly add the see this quickly available, like table is available. Then you just click on like explore table item. You can create the indexes, you can create the item is basically the rows similar to your RDS, you can say RDS rows, right? RDS table rows. So student ID, this is like a partition key that we have provided. You can say one, right? Here, like this is what I was talking about. So this is not like specific structured schema fix. Uh, this is the like major benefit of this. You can say phone number. I just want to show you two item to be created so that you can understand. Uh, like there is no fixed schema itself. Okay, so one phone number and this created. Let's say I want to add one second, I want to create another not the delete. So partition key is fixed. After that you can, let's say this time I want to provide the string set, right? I will provide name, I'll provide Nirmal, and create item. So see, these are the two things I want to talk about, right? If you are doing the same thing with the RDS insert data, this won't allow you to do that. RDS won't allow you to do that because it's having the fixed structured schema defined. It will throw you like schema doesn't match, or it will not allow you to add the data itself. But in the DynamoDB side, this is what the flexibility it provides. You can store any sort of data without any structured schema defined first. So that helps in many use cases. Okay. Then let me go back to the PPT quickly. We are almost on time itself. Yeah. Okay, so when to use what? This is like important part, I would say. So when your data is structured, right, and relational, like for example, rows, column, foreign keys, and you want to perform later on that use cases, that let's say you want to create the reports, or like you want to perform SQL queries, and you might need to use like join, group by, and all of that. That you might want to go with the RDS. You might have already like understand about the acid transactions, right? Like atomicity, consistency, and those details. So that's available in the RDS side. On the other hand, on the DynamoDB side, you when to use this service. Basically, let's say you want to scale the data or scale the database service to the millions of requests, right? Or the access patterns are very simple. You don't need to perform the SQL joins and stuff like that. That's where you use the DynamoDB, right? And your traffic is also spiky or unpredictable. That's also another reason you might want to go with that, along with the latency as well. Many use cases need to have very low latency. Latency is basically, let's say you click on the create or something, and if it is taking more time, that is what the latency is, right? So quick rule of thumb is you start with the RDS. If you are not sure, then switch to the DynamoDB as in when your scale and latency demands it, right? You want to perform like complex reports and analytics, RDS would be the good choice. uh, On the other hand, if you are having like millions of customers and simple key lookups, you might want to go with DynamoDB. Most of the enterprises and systems, you can say, in the real production apps, often use both for different purposes. Some of the project ideas, you might want to go with bookstore CRUD or like URL shortener. I'll put all of this like PPT details on the GitHub, and a team will share with you. I'll also write the articles about it, this as well. Uh, there are some other tips and tricks for these free tier things. This is like what the quick recap, and yep, that's it for now. I'm very active on the LinkedIn, you can say. You can connect with me. Happy to provide the career guidance and any sort of like confusion. Feel free to reach out to me. Yeah, thank you, team.
Um, Thank you so much, Nirmal sir, for such an engaging session. I am sure everyone now has a much better understanding of Amazon RDS, Amazon DynamoDB, and how to choose the right database for different types of application requirements. So, thank you so much, sir. And now, before introducing our next speaker, we would like to take a quick attendance check. So, if you haven't filled out today's attendance form yet, don't worry. We are sharing the link in the live chat now, and in a minute there will be a QR code in the screen, and you can scan it and just fill the form. It is mandatory for everyone. It will be used for future announcements, certificates, session recordings. So we will give a minute and you guys complete it. And after you finish the form procedure, we will have a fun announcement for all of you. Um, so we will love to see your experience from today's event on social media. You guys have to create an Instagram post and share your day 5 highlights. Or also, you have to post your key takeaways on LinkedIn, and make sure you have to take AWS Gujarat Students Builder Week account. And there's another account, which is mine account. This is fake, but you have to mention that both accounts. And from that, we will be announcing winners from that. We will have creative one post on LinkedIn and Instagram. Winner will be announced tomorrow, and best social media post from today will be selected as winners and will receive exclusive AWS goodies. And tomorrow's live session will be the announcement for the winners. So don't miss the opportunity to showcase your creativity and share your learning with the community. And you guys can see the QR codes, and also you have link of the form for the attendance in the comment section. Go and fill up the form. So
And just
now,
yeah, one quick
yes,
note, like we'll be picking three people, and like you will get the goodies from AWS user group Surat, mark on that. So yeah, happy to do that. Thank you, team. Thank you so much.
yeah. Sorry, I forgot to mention the goodies are from AWS user group Surat. And so now it's time for our second session. So our next speaker is Ridhi Bhure, who will take us through Amazon S3 and modern storage solutions. In this session, we will explore how AWS storage services helps organizations securely store, manage, protect data. So we are delighted to have you with us. Everyone, please join me in giving a warm welcome to Ridhi Bhure. Over to you.
Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing great. First of all, a huge thank you to AWS Student Builder Group Gujarat team for inviting me to be part of AWS Student Builder Week 2026. It's truly my honor to be here. I'll present my screen first. I think it's present. Yeah. My name is Ridhi Bhure, and I am currently working as a cloud administrator at Trust FinTech, wherein I work extensively with AWS services and cloud infrastructure. And also, I am member of AWS User Group Nagpur. Today, we'll be exploring one of the mostly widely used services, Amazon S3, and how it powers modern storage solution. By the end of the session, you'll not only understand the concept, but also deploy your own website, a static website using Amazon S3. So, by storage, what do you guys understand? Storage, which is on your phone or either laptop or wherever you keep your data, individual. It would be I'll keep my data. Everyone keeps, even businesses have some data to be stored. In Amazon S3, it is highly scalable, securable, durable cloud object. It may sometimes happen with you that your storage is full. Maybe you get the notification, you need more storage. You just have 5 and 2 GB of data, you need more storage. You need to buy hard disk. It is not necessary. Well, you can directly dump your data, any kind of data it is, either it is normal data or a very highly secure data you can directly keep into Amazon S3, where you can retrieve anytime, anywhere out of the whole world. So Amazon S3 states it's a simple storage service. S3, simple storage service, is a highly scalable, secure, and durable cloud object storage service provided by Amazon Web Services. It allows individual and businesses to store and retrieve any amount of data anytime from anywhere on the web. So Amazon AWS itself have very created a very cool video about S3, which you'll love to see. Now I think you'll be aware what S3 is. It stores your data, whatever it is, HTML files or either any of your photos or whatever data which you want to, which would be secure and nobody would be able to access until and unless you want it publicly to be accessed. Here are a few use cases like backup and restore, disaster recovery. Maybe it may happen that you want to keep your data like photos backed up and restored very well. S3 is up for you. Disaster recovery may happen. Everybody is aware of what happened with AWS, one of the data centers. But yeah, AWS got your back. They have stored your data. It was where the data which was kept there was recovered very nicely. There may also happen few of your data businesses do need that after 30 days it's like you do not need that or something. We can directly archive it. We can put 30 days of backup to the thing that we do not need it. After 30 days it will be archived. And we also have cloud native applications to be using S3. Now, let's like directly get hands-on lab. This is all theoretical, which you got to know. Hands-on, and you'll go able to make what? A static website on S3, and you'll be very cool about it. Everyone, you can tell everyone about it. You can tell in interviews that you made a website using Amazon S3. So this is how Amazon S3 console looks like. If everybody has had hands on it, I'll also show you how it looks. The AWS console itself. There are so many services provided by AWS, but recently visited an S3. S3 over here, you can see a create bucket option. But first, what is S3? Over here you can see a bucket. S3 is a bucket in which if you fill something in a container, so it contains something. So in S3 it contains files. Files can be your HTML files, code files, your photos, and everything. This bucket is called like container. If it is containing files, those files are known to be objects. Now I think you're all aware of what objects and buckets are. So let's over here in Amazon console, AWS console, you'll see Amazon S3 where you get the option of create bucket. So you can store your data all over the world globally. Now, if we store in India, Asia Pacific, Mumbai, AP South 1, the region itself will tell. It will come over there. Over here, there are two types of bucket type. One is general purpose, another is directory. In general purpose, it has multiple availability zones, where in directory, it is like low latency use for low latency use cases, where you just need one single availability zone. Next is the bucket namespace, if you could see. One is global namespace and other is account regional namespace. By what do you understand by global namespace and account regional namespace? In account regional namespace, as if I am keeping my name bucket name as Ridhi, it should not be used by anyone else. So it can we can keep account regional namespace. Whereas if we want other person can also use my name or same kind of bucket name they can keep. We have kept the global namespace. Now we'll directly put in a name like demo Riddhi. So I already have created a lot of existing buckets, but this is a fresh demo video, so we'll not copy any of the settings from existing buckets. Next is object ownership. This you should know. This bucket should be accessed by only me, or I want it to be accessed by my team or anyone around my AWS. If I want to give any other AWS accounts access, we can get ACLs enabled. It is access control list being enabled. For now, we'll keep it disabled and keep it to myself. So the next one is block public access setting for this bucket. Meaning, if you do not want, so in public access setting of this S3 bucket, there are two, private and public. In public access, you get to a bucket is accessible to everyone around in public. But in private, just to me, or if I allow only to people who has the access control list I have mentioned, such kind of people. For now, we'll keep block or public access closed. AWS does not recommend it, but yes, acknowledge it. Bucket versioning. It may happen that in your bucket there are different files like HTML files, JavaScript files. So it has an option bucket versioning. Either you can give it version 1, versioning 2. Next is tags. that how much your bucket is costing, you can just put in the cost value my bucket. It helps, the tag option helps for the bucket options to how much is the cost. Next is default encryption. You know how much your data is to be secured, and security is always important over here. So AWS has its server-side encryption with Amazon S3. If you keep your images on your phone, it is directly available. It is not encrypted. It is not secure that much, but AWS and S3 does it for you. It has server-side encryption with AWS S3 managed keys. So I have kept it on encryption type, advanced setting. Now, if object log, you must have understood. In object log, what happens is if you want to secure your data, like you do not want any other person to access or give it a key, just like your phone passcode, you're always good to go with the advanced setting and enable whatever password you want to keep. So these all are the settings, only these settings which you can directly now create a bucket. So the bucket is created. Next, now I said that we want to host a static website. Everyone must be eager what a static website is and how do we host using a simple S3 bucket. So if we go into the properties over here, you'll scroll down and in the end you will get static website hosting and you just edit it, enable it. Now, if you there is a hosting type, we have enabled it. Hosting type, host a static website or redirect request of an object. We need to host a static website. So whatever the index document here, you need to take care of. Whatever the document it is, you need to specify the file like index.html. If you want to redirect to error documents, this is optional. Redirection rules are also optional, but if it is always open, if you want to have like if there is any error on your website or something, you can always put in the error.html file as well and then save changes. Your URL is ready. But here is the thing, if you redirect to the website, if you could see, it will show you 403 forbidden. Why? We have not given access what to read the data or read the bucket files which you said. So next it comes, first we have then created a bucket, then we give and got into properties. On properties we went into static website hosting. Later on, the next very step is to give permission for the bucket to read. Okay, so over in permissions, you need to go to bucket policies. Over here, just edit, and here is your bucket ARN. So if you go to policy examples, you'll get what kind of data you need to read or either access, and everything over here. It's already written in JSON file. What we need is now to read. I already have taken the read access policy. You just need to copy or from there and paste. So over here, if you see, is your bucket name. My bucket name is Temuraddi. So I'll just copy and I'll paste it over here instead of your bucket name. Whatever bucket name you keep, you'll always paste it over here. It is good to go. So the policies have been updated. You can always ask, you can always check, get this policies on internet and AWS documentations, and it is already mentioned. Policies have been accessed. But what kind of HTML file do we need to host? Let's ask ChatGPT like one HTML index file, and it will give us some HTML file. You can always go and we can just put the prompt. Generate an index HTML file with good CSS, of course. Welcoming everyone to AWS Student Builder Week 2026. And we can also have the hyperlink to navigate to AWS console. Let's see. We can see the HTML file is being generated. Now we will go to Visual Studio. New file. Over here we can just paste it and let's save it. Save as. We have kept index.html as our name, if you remember. I'll keep it, I'll save it in my desktop. Yeah. So next is we haven't uploaded it yet, right? So directly upload, add file, desktop. Here is our index.file. Our file has been uploaded successfully. We have done is first given the permission. Policies are been given. Now the website which was showing 4034 billing should be accessible. So here we go. Welcome to AWS Student Builder Week 2026, and also launch AWS Management Console is directly open for you guys. So this is how we learned to have static website on S3. I think we had a very great hands-on lab on static website, how to host a static website on S3. So next is what we did. We did bucket provisioning, security validation, and object operation. Next, if what main thing about, we already have like a lot of questions. What is buckets and what is objects? In buckets, you should have unique name across all AWS accounts globally. Regional resources, you specify an AWS region where the bucket resides to optimize latency and cost. Then the S3 bucket key. What is the S3 bucket's key thing? The unique identifier name for the object, often mimicking a file path. It may be your PNG, JPG data, HTML files, everything. You just dump it and you'll be good to go. Also, S3 buckets can store metadata, a set of name value pair containing information about content type and custom tags. Okay, so now data. Everywhere when you talk about data, it is always security. And AWS and Amazon S3 got your back. Amazon S3 is secure by default. It provides robust, as you saw when we were allowing or blocking all of the things publicly. It should be publicly accessible or privately accessible. Amazon S3 is there. It provides you robust control to protect your data from unauthorized access while maintaining high availability. Then it has little policies. If you see in AWS, in itself, IAM policies are there. We can give that. We have bucket policies, which we one of them gave it access and control list for precise resource management. Also, it has automated protection. Even if you don't do, S3 blocks public access, provided a central way to prevent public exposure across your entire account. So there are four core pillars of S3. Durability. There will be no data loss. Even if you're storing, we have disaster recovery back in there. Scalability. If you may question that my storage is like 200 GB I have taken and I want to increase it, I want more. It just need few clicks of button and you're good to go. Availability. It is now available in so many zones, so many regions. You do not need to worry about anything. And security, you guys already know all of the things which we made during the S3 buckets. Next, this was about the object storage. Now, may be happening that in different businesses, in different files, block storage is there, file storage is there, and after some time, you do not need that. So, for that, archive is there. For the next generation storage solution optimized for high throughput and low latency demands for AI training and inference at scale. Object storage is Amazon S3, the durable foundation for massive AI data lakes and training sets. Where to use block storage? Low latency performance for mission critical compute and databases. File storage will dive more into it and further slides. EFS and FSX, seamless shared file system for distributed ML research team. Then archive. S3 Glaciers is cost efficient preservation for petabyte of data and historical data sets. Now we'll be talking about Amazon EBS. It is a high performance block storage volume designed for use with Amazon EC2, engineered for mission control workloads, provided sub-millisecond latencies and massive throughput required for enterprise databases and model training. Next is Elastic and Shared File System. Amazon EFS and FSX provide a fully managed shared access for thousands of EC2 instances, ideally for content management, media processing, and developers' home directories that require low latencies and concurrent file operations. These are variety of modern storage which you can use. So far I have almost covered the S3 part. When main was the hands-on, I would first check on to the questions if anybody still has questions, and I'll first attend that. So yeah, the hands-on is done. If there are any questions related to it, you are always open to have me connected on LinkedIn. If you find the session insightful, you can just ping on LinkedIn or Instagram. You'll be will be good to go. Hi, Tejasvi. I'm ready for the questions. If questions are over here up, and if the anyone wants the demo again or how to host the static website, I'm up.
So yes, if, guys, if anyone have any question, you can write it in the comment and maybe we'll answer it for you. Um, I think um, when we get results of all this session, we have yes, we are working on it. We will shortly provide it to you guys.
So I'll also share you the Prezi link where the particular presentation is readily available on internet, and you can access it if you want HTML files or anything related to it. They also I'll share my LinkedIn to you, and we are good to go.
Um, I think there's one question. What is the difference between
I think
S3
I can
bucket
see what is
policy?
the difference between S3 bucket policies and IAM policies. So, IAM policies are attached to user groups or roles that are defined what actions to be performed or identity can be performed for AWS resources. Whereas S3 bucket policies is attached directly to S3 bucket and defines who can access that specific bucket which we are creating and under what conditions. I hope that.
Yes, I think there is no more any questions. We can just have it here. And thank you so much, Mark, for such an informative session, interesting session it was. And your practical insights into Amazon S3 and modern storage solutions have helped us understand. how AWS enables that scalable, reliable data storage. So thank you so much for your session and for your time. And also, we would also like to extend our sincere thanks to Nirmal sir for delivering such an excellent session on Amazon RDS and Amazon DynamoDB. And of course, a heartfelt thank you to every participant who joined us today. And your curiosity and active participations are what makes this community so special, which is what I'm saying every day. And we hope today's session have added valuable knowledge to your AWS journey. So before we conclude, few reminders. If you haven't already, please complete today's attendance and feedback form. Don't forget to participate in today's social media challenge by sharing your experience on Instagram and LinkedIn. Don't forget to tag AWS uh, Gujarat Student Builder account and mine account, which is Tejasvi Sekhat. And best post will receive exclusive AWS goodies from AWS User Group Surat. And we will also be sharing today's recording, important announcements, and learning resources. We are working on it. We will shortly share it with you. So stay connected with us, and we encourage everyone to continue sharing your learnings by writing a blog on AWS Builder Center. Every blog, every post, every project you build contributes to a stronger cloud community. So yes, tomorrow we will be back with another exciting day of learning as part of AWS Gujarat Students Builder Week 2026. And we can't wait to see you all again. Until then, keep learning, keep building, keep sharing. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tejasvi.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.